Macmillan Audio presents Flowers in the Rain and Other Stories by Rosamunde Pilcher. Read for you by Lucy Paterson, Jilly Bond and Helen Johns.
The Doll's House. Opening his eyes, William recognised the feel of Saturday morning in the lightness of the atmosphere, the ambience of freedom. From downstairs came the smell of frying bacon, and, outside in the garden, Loden, the pet spaniel, began to bark. William stirred and reached for his wristwatch. It was 8 o'clock. Because there was no pressing urgency to be up and about, he lay for a little, considering the day ahead. It was April, and a lozenge of sunlight lay across his carpet. The sky beyond the window was a pale, pellucid blue, traversed by slow-moving clouds. It was a day to be spent out of doors, the sort of day when his father would have collected the family together with a shout and an impetuous plan, piling them all into the car and driving them to the seaside or up onto the moors for a long hike. Most of the time, William tried not to think too much about his father, but every now and then memories would come surging back like pictures, clean-cut and with very sharp edges. He would see his father striding up a bracken-covered slope, with Miranda on his shoulders, because the climb was too steep for her short, fat legs, or hear his deep voice reading to them on winter evenings, or see his clever hands mending a bicycle, or doing intricate things with electric plugs and fuse boxes. He bit his lip and turned his head on the pillow, as though to turn from some unimaginable pain, but that was even worse, because now he was confronted by the object which stood, accusing, on his work table at the other side of the room. Last night, when he had finished his homework, he had laboured upon this thing for an hour or more, and had finally climbed into bed knowing that it had defeated him. Now, it seemed to his imagination, it openly sneered at him. "You haven't a hope of enjoying yourself today," it whispered maliciously. "You're going to spend this Saturday wrestling with me, and you'll probably lose." It was enough to make him despair. £20 it had cost him, and all he had to show for it was something that looked more like an orange box than anything else. After a bit, he got out of bed and went across the room to examine it more closely, hoping that it would look better than he remembered. It didn't. A floor, a back, 2 sides, a pile of small pieces of wood about the size of nail files, and a page of baffling instructions. Glue scotia angle to the top front edge of the front panel. Glue window jambs to inner headsills. It was meant to be a doll's house, a present for Miranda's 7th birthday, 2 weeks away. It was a secret, even from his mother, and he couldn't finish it because he was too clumsy or too stupid, or possibly both. Miranda had always wanted a doll's house. Their father had promised that she would get it for her 7th birthday, and the fact that he was no longer there had made no difference to Miranda, who was too young to understand, too young to be told that she must learn to go without. "I'm going to get a doll's house for my birthday," she boasted to her friends, while they dressed up in tattered party clothes and old ostrich feathers, and shoes sizes too big for them. "They promised." William, worried by this, had a conference with his mother. This took place when they were alone eating supper. Before his father died, William used to have high tea with Miranda and then watch television. But now, at 12 years old, he had been promoted. So, over the chops and broccoli and mashed potatoes, William said, "She thinks she's getting that doll's house. We must give her one. Daddy promised." "I know. And he'd have bought her a beauty, no expense spared. But now we don't have that sort of money to spend on presents." "What about a second-hand one?" "Well, I'll look." She looked. She found one in the local antique shop, but it cost more than £100. A second-hand dealer produced another, but it was
Sample complete. Ready to continue?